What's up, folks? Just finished the workout today. So I was at the same park as I was sometime last week, but I had to tweak a couple things because there are actually people there this time. And I know a lot of people are often self-conscious when there are kids at a playground. It kind of feels weird to be a grown man grunting and whatnot. Um, but I don't know. I found a simple solution, which is to just ask the people who are there if it's okay if you do some fitness next to them. And in my experience, most of the time they'll be like, "Yeah, that's fine." So when I got there was a lady pushing her kid on the swing, and I just went in and asked her, "Hey, would you mind if I do some fitness next to you?" And she said, "Oh, yeah, no problem. In fact, I think it'll be pretty entertaining for my boy." And yeah, it makes sense. And I can imagine that watching a grown man grunting and whimpering is probably quite interesting to kids who never see other adults playing. So, anyways, still got in and did my workout, but just kept my shirt on to be a little bit more respectful and tried to keep the grunting to a minimum. But still trying hard, still training quickly. That was a really good session today. Improved a little bit from last time on those same exercises. So first up was me getting utterly humbled by some pike push-ups here. Put my feet on a trusty rock, which turned out to be just the right height for me, and got to work. I can only imagine how this looked to the toddler and his mom, who were in the park with me at the same time. Just these last moments of just starting out looking like I'm actually doing fitness and then devolving into basically being stuck on my head, unable to move at all. I'm sure it was a right treat for the wee lad. Next up was the uneven grip chin-ups here, and last time I put the rings a little bit too far offset from each other, so I wasn't able to get very many repetitions. So this time I put them a little bit closer together, and it was a better difficulty. I was able to get 7 reps on the left hand, but then when I switched around to do the right hand right afterwards, I was only able to get 2. And I don't think this is because of a disparity in, my left to right pulling strength. I think it's much more that this is essentially, it's an assisted one-arm exercise, but you're doing the assistance with the opposite hand. So by going to failure from the left hand, I'm also using a fair amount of right hand strength on those last couple repetitions, especially the very last one. And so then my right arm's already fatigued when it comes time to do the set. So this is something that I noted this time and I tweak on my next session. So instead of doing like 7 reps until failure and then only getting 2 on the left, my plan for the next one is to do like 4 reps, keeping roughly 3 reps in reserve, then switch hands, then switch back and do the set to failure. So just alternating a little bit in order to get a slightly more even stimulus on the 2 arms. And these are just the types of things that you learn when you're incorporating new exercises and trying to program them for the very first time. So we live and we learn and we get stronger. And one of the things I really like about high intensity is that the actual rep range you use isn't really so important. So even though I only got 2 reps on the right arm because I basically did a lightweight set on the right arm and then a way too heavyweight set, I still ended up working to failure. So I was absolutely gassed by the end of it. And thus this should have been enough stimulus to still get a little bit stronger and build a little bit of muscle for the next session. But of course, we always want to pay attention to the things that don't go as well as they could and learn from them. Look at how grumpy your boy is here having to wear a shirt. Oh my gosh. I'm so sweaty and I can't stand it. Luckily, I'm wearing this sick Fijian Drew tank top that I got, which is one of my favorites. So on the Bulgarian dips here, I was happy. This was sort of the first session where I noticed myself making objective progress. I was able to get 9 reps as opposed to the previous 8 reps last time, and it just felt quite a bit more solid. As I had noted, I had been having a little bit of discomfort in my right shoulder while doing these in the first 2 sessions, and in this session, it seemed to mostly go away. There was a little bit of a lingering sensation, but it was much less than the last time, and that's exactly what we want to see. By stressing our joints, doing new exercises, oftentimes there is going to be a little bit of pain or a little bit of discomfort, but oftentimes if you just sort of work through it while giving yourself ample time to recover and not letting it escalate and get worse, just continuing to do the exercises without making any form changes, without doing prehab, is sufficient to let your body adapt, because after all, when we give our body stimulus, a stimulus, like a new exercise, it will adapt. And of course, that is the entire point of doing exercises in the first place. I think this is something that people get wrong a little bit. If they feel a little bit of pain or discomfort, they often feel like they have to drastically reduce the weight and spend weeks or months working on form. When it's not really the form that's the problem, it's just the fact that they've never done the damn thing in the first place. And many times you can waste a whole lot of time working on your form at a light weight without actually doing anything that will help make the pain go away. Because many times the reason that you're feeling a pain is not because you have like bad movement form according to like some expert or something like that. It's just that you're feeling a new force and a new stimulus that your body's not used to. And it reacts in several ways. One is giving you a little bit of pain to try to get you to stop doing that. And two is adapting and just getting better at it. But many times, if you say have the weight, then that stimulus won't actually be strong enough to let you adapt. It won't elicit the pain anymore. So then all of this work that you're trying to do to like theoretically improve your bar path or your form or whatever, according to the form standards of some online fitness expert, it ends up kind of being useless because you're not actually putting your body under the same demands. You're not putting the same load on your body. I think most of the time you'd be better off keeping roughly the same intensity, but decreasing the volume or the proximity to failure and just giving your body the time to adapt and recover. If that doesn't work, then you can go on to working on technique or trying to do prehab and other type things. But I think generally speaking, especially if it's a new exercise and you don't have a history of injury in that body part, there's no reason to be afraid when you feel a little bit of discomfort doing something new. Doing new things always hurts a little bit. Speaking of, what are you guys doing new this year that you've never done before that's causing you a bit of pain? And by that I mean like growing pains and discomfort and, the kind of fear of the unknown stuff. One thing I'm trying to pick up this year is the sport of wing foiling. It's like windsurfing, but you do it on a board with a hydrofoil on the bottom, and you fly a little like wing in your hands, which is kind of like a kite, but it's called a wing. And of like all of the sports or activities that I've ever tried to do, I reckon it has the hardest learning curve that I've ever done. I've now done like 12 sessions, and I've barely spent any time standing up on the foil at all. Absolutely humbling. There's just so many things to control with the wind and the waves and the balance on the board kneeling and the balance on the board standing and then the different balance on the board when you're foiling. It's very confusing for the mind, but it also feels so good to be making progress. And I think at the end of the day, doing uncomfortable things is what keeps us young, especially doing uncomfortable physical things, because our bodies are not getting any younger. So we got to do our best to keep them loose and limber and challenged so they don't just wither away and die. All right, that's my motivational speech for the day. So today I decided to add a little bit of core work by doing some hanging leg raises, which I hadn't done in ages. These are pretty fantastic. One of the very few core exercises that I've ever really done. Just basically these and then weighted hanging knee raises are my staples. But I hadn't done the hanging leg raises in a long time. And oh man, the hip flexor cramps you get from keeping your knees straight is outrageous. But you just got to get over that period. There's no shortcut, I don't think. You can't see it now, but you'll have to imagine that my abs look great during this shot. So folks, that's a wrap for today. Another quick workout. You can kind of get the sense of how these are evolving over time, how I'm making slow but steady progress, spending just 20 or 30 minutes in the morning while I'm traveling, and then enjoying the rest of my day spending time with friends and family, which is, of course, the whole point of traveling in the first place. Thanks for your time, folks. I appreciate all of you. Let's get strong for life together.